When someone is about to die, what does their body go through? What are the signs that death is near? How does it happen? And what happens immediately after a person dies? There are many questions about what happens when a person is dying. As a palliative medicine doctor, I've cared for thousands of people who are dying, and I've seen all kinds of things that can happen before and after someone dies. So let me explain what happens to the body and the mind before a human dies. Before I get started, if you're new here, welcome. I'm a doctor. I'm a palliative medicine doctor. And if you enjoy medical topics, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my weekly videos. Also, if you have any questions about dying or death or anything related, please make sure to leave those in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer every single one. So let's start with what happens in the hours to days before a person dies. This part is going to vary greatly depending on how a person is dying. For instance, if someone has a sudden cardiac arrest, they're going to die very suddenly and unexpectedly, and there won't be much warning. But if someone is dying from a chronic illness like cancer or heart failure or old age, there will be a gradual decline leading up to death. In a natural death, such as from old age or a terminal illness, there are some common stages that may happen in the days to weeks before death. The first thing that typically happens is that a person will have less and less energy and will sleep more and more. This is because as the body prepares to die, it kind of shuts down non-essential functions and tries to conserve energy. A person may also eat and drink less during this time. Sometimes the amount of saliva in a person's mouth will increase, making swallowing difficult. And that can make eating and drinking even less appealing. And sometimes a person's sense of taste and smell will change, making food less enjoyable. Another thing that may happen is that a person will withdraw socially, talking less and spending more time focused inward. Sometimes a person may start to hear things that aren't there or may see things that others don't. Although most of the senses will become dulled as a person approaches death, hearing is often the last sense to go. So it's not uncommon for a person to be able to hear things clearly, including the voices of loved ones, even when they're not able to see or respond to those around them. Now, as death approaches, the body begins to shut down. And one of the first major signs is a change in breathing. Breathing may become irregular or labored, or a person may start to take slower, deeper breaths, followed by long pauses without breathing. This pattern of breathing is called Cheyne-Stokes breathing. It's completely normal, and nothing should be done to try to stop it. As a person continues to approach death, their blood pressure drops. This drop in blood pressure can cause the skin to become pale, cool, or even bluish, especially on the fingers, toes, or lips. The heartbeat may also become weaker and more difficult to feel. During this time, a person may still be conscious and aware of their surroundings, but as the heartbeat and breathing become weaker, they will eventually slip into a deep sleep or coma-like state. Most people who are dying will not wake up from this sleep, although it's not uncommon for a person to stir or even briefly open their eyes during this time. When someone dies, their pupils will be dilated and their eyes will appear cloudy or glassy. Sometimes the eyes will remain open, but they won't be able to move them. Other times the eyelids may fall down, covering the eyes completely. So now let's move on to what happens at the moment of death. When a person dies, several things happen almost instantaneously. First, the heart stops beating and blood stops circulating throughout the body. Breathing also stops. You will see the chest no longer rise or fall. And finally, brain activity ceases. Within seconds to minutes of the heart stopping, the brain will stop functioning. For many years, it was believed that the brain continued to function after the heart stopped beating, but modern science has disproven this theory. In order for the brain to continue functioning, it needs oxygen and nutrients. When the heart stops beating, the body is no longer able to provide these things to the brain, which causes it to stop functioning within a few minutes. However, it's important to note that this does not necessarily mean that a person is conscious or aware of their surroundings. Even while the brain is still functioning, a person who is unconscious or in a coma is not conscious or aware of their surroundings. So what happens after the brain stops functioning? Does consciousness continue? Different spiritual and religious traditions have different beliefs about what happens after the brain stops functioning. Some believe that the soul leaves the body and goes to a place of judgment where it will be decided where the person will spend eternity. Others believe that the soul simply leaves the body and moves on to a new life, either in the same world or another one. And still others believe that consciousness ends when the brain stops functioning and there is no awareness after death. Now, from a scientific standpoint, we know that consciousness is a product of brain activity. When the brain stops functioning, consciousness ends. There is no evidence to suggest that consciousness continues after death. We also know that when the brain stops functioning, the body begins to rapidly break down. Cells begin to die and organs begin to shut down. Within a few hours, the body will begin to change. The skin will become cold and stiff, and the body will begin to bloat. Within a day or two, the body will begin to decompose. After death, the body can stay alive outside of the body for a short period of time, sometimes up to an hour or more. During this time, a person can still be resuscitated if their heart stops beating and their breathing stops. If their brain activity stops and they don't wake up, it's unlikely that they will ever be conscious again. In some cases, it can be difficult to determine whether or not someone is dead. In these cases, a doctor may perform a test called a neurological death examination. This examination is designed to determine whether or not the brain is still functioning. If the brain is not functioning, the person is considered legally dead. There are also cases where a person may be technically dead, but their body still shows signs of life. This is called a Lazarus syndrome. This occurs in less than 1% of cases where a person is declared dead and their body is prepared for burial or cremation. The person then revives. While this is a relatively rare occurrence, it is possible. Therefore, it is important to wait until a doctor has declared a person dead before taking any action. In the U.S., it's not uncommon for families to allow their loved ones to be kept on life support until all possible treatments have been exhausted. Even if a person is brain dead, they can be kept alive on life support for a short period of time so that their organs can be harvested for transplantation. In these cases, a person's life may be prolonged for several days while their organs are kept viable for transplantation. It's important to remember that everyone dies differently. Some people die quickly and peacefully, while others have a more drawn-out and difficult death. The most important thing is to respect the wishes of the dying person and provide them with the care and support they need during this time. I hope this video answered your questions about what happens before and after a person dies. I know this is a difficult topic to discuss, but it's important to be prepared and to understand what to expect. If you have any other questions, please make sure to leave them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer each and every one. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you do not miss any of my videos. And I'll see you next week.